Hey guys, John V from PhoneArena here. Right now you're watching our video review between the Nokia Lumia Icon and the LG G2. The Nokia Lumia Icon's latest Windows phone for Verizon Wireless, and it's arguably the best Windows phone to date for the carrier just because of its spec sheet alone. It really matches many of the Android smartphones in the space right now, and in this particular scenario, we're going to pit it against the LG G2. Despite having more of a rectangular shape with hard lines, we prefer the design style of the Lumia Icon versus the LG G2. The G2's plastic body just looks too conventional. They're actually both polycarbonate plastic, but the Lumia Icon just has a higher level of sturdiness versus the G2's body just because it has more of a hollow feel to it. As we take them both into our hand, we like the feel with the G2 better just because it's more comfortable due to its curvier sides, whereas with the Lumia Icon, it has a metal trim bezel which gives it a very premium taste, but at the same time, it's very sharp to the touch, so when we hold it, it really digs in. If you're studying something you crave, you'll really appreciate what the two displays have to offer. It's a 5-inch 1080p clear black AMOLED display in the Lumia Icon, while the LG G2 is outfitted with an equally sharp 5.2-inch IPS LCD display with 1080p resolution. Seeing that they both have the same resolution, there's no shortage of rich details with their display, so even the finest of text has a lot of clarity. However, seeing that they use different display technologies, they have their unique attributes. For the AMOLED display of the Lumia Icon, it's really known for its saturated color reproduction. It has a very nice iridescent glow, giving it some wow factor in the dark. And on top of that, you have some wide viewing angles. However, with the LG G2's IPS LCD panel, it's known for its accurate color reproduction and superior outdoor visibility thanks to its higher brightness output, whereas with the Lumia Icon's AMOLED display, it's very difficult to view outdoors. So with that, ultimately comes down to personal preference. Prefer those dreamy iridescent colors, you'll like the AMOLED display of the Lumia Icon, but if you prefer something with more natural color tones in combination with better visibility outdoors, you'll like the LG G2's IPS LCD panel. But now we're familiar with the unusual placement of the LG G2's power and volume controls in the rear, so for anyone new, it might come off a little bit foreign, but after a while it becomes natural. But with the Lumia Icon set of buttons, they're in familiar places on the right edge, and it's also nice that you have a dedicated shutter key. Around their sides, they feature many commonalities. They include things like the 3.5mm headset jacks, their various microphones, and their micro USB ports for charging data connectivity. But the LG G2, with that micro USB port, you actually gain video out functionality with an aid of an adapter. And it's also worth mentioning that the LG G2 features an IR blaster on the top edge here, which converts it into a universal remote control. They're known to be wicked devices for taking photos and videos. That's because you have a 20 megapixel peer view camera in the Lumia Icon and a 13 megapixel autofocus camera in the LG G2. So Windows Phone 8 hits the mark when it comes to the visual presentation. There's no arguing there's a lot of, attractive elements with the experience. You have the start screen here, which is filled with all those dynamic live tiles. So there's a lot of stuff going on that really captures our attention. And even when you run the different applications right from the get-go, you kind of see that modern UI in play throughout all aspects of the platform. Despite having an interface that looks a little bit more cartoony compared to its rival, the customized Android experience with the LG G2 just offers a lot more personalization, and you see the maturity in the platform through several different areas. For example, you have a better implementation with notification with the customized Android experience of the LG G2. Everything's aggregated in a single spot, and you could access that at any time by swiping down from the top bezel. In contrast with Windows Phone 8, those notifications can be littered throughout different sections of the start screen just because you gotta look deep and down into each and every live tile to see exactly where they're at. On top of that, you have a more refined multitasking experience as well. So with both handsets, you could do the normal way, and where you could actually see the preview windows of both, and you could quickly go in and out of the applications, but it's more task switching, whereas with the LG G2, with its slide-to-slide feature and its Q-slide applications, we could access several things at the same time. Under the hood, they're powered by the same processor, a quad-core 2.2 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 CPU with the Adreno 330 GPU and 2 GB of RAM. So they are exceptionally fast and speedy, but we notice just a little bit more snappiness with the LG G2, but that could be attributed just to the software. There's not one handset we prefer more over the other when it comes to surfing the web, just because they have the same lovable qualities to them. So for example, you have large displays that's rich with detail, you have fast, speedy 4G LTE connection, you have also instant page rendering and smooth navigational control, so we really can't complain about the experience on either device. At the same time, we like the music players on both. There's just a lot of neat features to them. You have that visual flair again with the Windows Phone powered Lumia Icon, but with the LG G2, you have this neat functionality of actually looking for pertinent YouTube videos related to the song that's being played. As far as audio quality, they're both super strong and powerful, but the Lumia Icon speaker is a tad bit stronger, so you get more of a commanding presence with it. At the same time, watching high-definition videos is such a joy to behold with both devices. Thanks to their displays, very sharp and you have that vibrant glow to them. And they play back videos, high-definition videos with no fluff at all, very smooth. But you have just a little bit more functionality and play with the LG G2's video player. For example, you could actually set it so that you could minimize the video so you could run it on top of something else. So it offers a little bit more functionality and of course better multitasking. On one hand, we like the styling of the camera app in the Lumia Icon just because it kind of reminds us of something you get on a digital camera. It's nice to have these toggles here to manually adjust different things, but you also get manual controls with the LG G2. It might not be presented in a fashionable manner like the Lumia Icon since it's more menu driven than anything else, but it does offer a ton of different shooting modes right from within the camera application itself, whereas with the Lumia Icon, you're gonna have to rely on those various lenses or go into its smart capturing mode. I don't think for a moment that the LG G2 is going to be outclassed when it comes to taking photos just because it has a smaller 13 megapixel autofocus camera in comparison to the beefier 20 megapixel pure view camera, the Lumia Icon. Quite honestly, you'd be hard pressed to notice the difference when it comes to outdoor shots, especially when there's a lot of lighting present, just because the quality is pretty identical with both. You're going to have nice properly exposed images, lots of detail, and of course some really vibrant looking colors, but difference here is going to be found with the higher resolution 19 megapixel samples of the Lumia Icon. With that, when we look at the two on a computer, we notice that there's just a little bit more fine details put out by the Lumia Icon, but that's the only one defining characteristics that gives it the advantage. Under lower lighting situations, we notice that the G2's photos are just a smidgen brighter, but not by much. But it comes at the expense of having softer looking details that look a little bit more subdued. Whereas with the Lumia Icon, it's just minutely better, but it's more prone to blurring due to the fact that it has a longer exposure time. Beyond that, when it comes to the LED flashes, we got to say that they both cast a really nice tone. So even from far distances, you're going to have a lot of lighting and scenery. Okay, when it comes to taking photos, there's a slight advantage with the Nokia Lumia Icon, but when it comes to shooting high definition videos, we actually prefer the quality put out by the LG G2, primarily because of 60 frames per second. You have that very buttery smooth panning going on. On top of that, it just captures a little bit better looking details, more consistent with that, so it does come off as the more pleasing looking quality between the two. It's without question the Lumia Icon that gives us the better calling quality performance. Now, voices on both ends of the line are clear, distinctive, and noise-free, which is of course what you kind of expect when you make phone calls. But on top of that, its earpiece and speakerphone are pretty potent with their audio output, so you get a commanding presence with that. With the LG G2, the one nagging thing is found with its speakerphone. It seems to cast an unclear tone to our voice. Even though they appear to be close in size to one another, there's a huge discrepancy when we look at their battery capacities. Now with the LG G2, it packs along a 3000 milliamp hour battery, which is significantly larger than the 2420 milliamp hour battery in the Lumia Icon. With that, it gives us the better battery life, and with our battery benchmark test, the G2 produces a solid 6.5 hours of juice from a full charge versus the 4-hour and 50-minute tally of the Lumia Icon. So even though they're more than equipped in giving us at least a solid 1 day of normal usage, by the end of the day you'll still notice that the LG G2 has more battery. Interestingly enough, there's a discrepancy in pricing that kind of favors the LG G2, just because right now, if you're going to pick it up through Verizon Wireless, it's only going to cost you $100 with a 2-year contract, which is half the cost of the Lumia Icon's $200 on contract price. They match each other in several categories. There's fantastic hardware in each device, they move exceptionally fast with their performances, and they're really great at taking photos and videos. Ultimately though, it's going to come down to platform preference. You have Android with the LG G2 and Windows Phone with the Nokia Lumia Icon. As we know, Android on the LG G2 shows its deeper offering and functionality. There's just a ton more, and there's a wider selection of apps available for it. Cost ultimately will play a key role in a decision whether you're going to pick the LG G2 or the Nokia Lumia Icon. If you want to save your money, there's no questioning that LG G2 is going to be the device for you. It's a top-notch handset, and you're getting it half the cost. So if you guys want to learn more about either device, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. John V. Thanks for watching.